Hi, Steve Sinclair from Convergent Utilities, bringing the energy today to GSX. We're at booth 2011. I'm with Jennifer Hones from FLIR. Jen, what does FLIR stand for?
Fun. Okay, we're live actually.
Laughter.
Intelligent. Forward-looking infrared.
Awesome. So, sea of technology that's out there today. Where's the primary application for this?
So FLIR, a lot of people see us in the critical infrastructure. What I like to say is that if you have a perimeter and you actually need to do something about if there's an incident on that perimeter, you would think about FLIR, right? So we're primarily known for critical infrastructure.
So outside of critical infrastructure, where else do you see your technology being applied to, specifically around the thermal?
Sure. So we see a lot with data centers. We also see it in stadiums. We actually see it in just like large, vast spaces. So you can think of like casinos, but more so like the big open spaces. I mean, they like to bring a lot of people parking lots.
Yeah,
Sounds
makes
very
sense.
fun.
Yeah,
but parking lot security.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it's a staple in the industry and has been in critical infrastructure for a long time. So as we progress from physical security into the operational space, where do you see that technology applying?
Sure. So when we think about critical infrastructure, obviously we're thinking first and foremost about the perimeter, right? So we're securing the perimeter. But as you then move from the perimeter into the internal spaces of those critical infrastructure items, so like critical substations and things like that, we actually start using not just the thermal, but the radiometric of the thermal. That's then doing temperature measurements. And so then you can see, okay, is this substation and is this transformer getting too hot compared to the other ones? Maybe we need to do some maintenance on it. And so a lot of people know FLIR because we have handhelds, so people walk by and kind of zap the temperature every so often and do their reports. But people are seeing, okay, well that's actually a really critical asset. We should actually be monitoring that 24/7, not just when feet are walking around trying to zap something.
Yeah, sure.
Zap's not the technical word, but it's my word. And so then we start to see people putting fixed mount cameras that are just looking at whether it's a transformer, or whether you think about conveyor belts and production facilities and things like that. So we're definitely starting to see the expansion of what was handheld moved into fixed mount solutions.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We're seeing it definitely on the utility side where there's this kind of convergence between physical security technology in an operational setting. So we're applying FLIR a lot, as you said, in the fixed kind of mount situation where there's this duality of using the security technology to look at operational equipment, to look at assets that are out there. And with that, we get this multi-departmental spend capability. So it's not a single type of funding towards one widget that's just applicable for one area. It spans across multiple different departments and other things that can tie not only to physical security or video management system and others, but also into SCADA systems. And so we're seeing that come together. And I think you guys go beyond just the thermal cameras, right? What other technology is out there that this would apply to?
Yeah, so FLIR is a large organization, but we also have a lot with radars. When we're talking about protecting the perimeter, what we want to do is be able to enable those people that actually have to protect the perimeter to start to protect it as far out as they can. So we have radars that go, kilometers out. And then even some commercially available radars, maybe 400 meters out. And so really you start to pick up something, even in super foggy weather or kind of really difficult weather conditions. So start to pick up assets and potential issues way outside of what a normal perimeter line would be, and then be able to address that threat as it's coming up to the actual perimeter.
Sure. And so you guys build a multi-layered approach through all of your technology solutions and suites, correct?
It's like our marketing slogan, multi-layered physical security.
Yeah, like I said, staple in the industry. I think Convergent, we've installed thousands of the thermal technology out there. It's really great when deploying analytics because it helps from separating in scenes and things like that and counteracts kind of the environmental settings and makes configuration management a little bit easier. So as you said, kind of that enhanced detection capability of the cameras themselves. So
so I joined FLIR back in December of last year, and I guess shame on me, but I think a lot of, if we're walking around GSX, you see a lot of people talking about AI. A lot of it's driven on the physical or the visual side of cameras. But at FLIR, we're known for thermal. We also have analytics on thermal, and we have really good analytics on thermal.
Yeah.
Very, very fancy term, really good. But the analytics on the thermal, because it doesn't matter if something that's a bear or a deer is approaching the perimeter. Right? I want to know if it's a person. I want to know if they're walking and if they're crawling or rolling around or trying to do something crazy like walking around in a box. Have you seen those? And so we really do want to know, is this a threat coming to the perimeter, and being able to address that. So with analytics, hands down.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about some of the VMS Latitude integration into SCADA at all? Where are you seeing that happen a lot inside of this space?
Well, yeah, I think that what we're seeing is that, like for us with our, Latitude software, it's more like a FLIR sensor manager, right? So
Okay.
you can then bring in, your radar, you can bring in your cameras, you can bring in, again, thermal cameras, visual cameras, all into one, and then software to software integrations with whether PLC controls or SCADA systems or, what have you. And then that starts to get more into like operational and then more critical monitoring.
Got it. Driving efficiency.
Yeah, we love
So
efficiency.
what do you see on the floor, or what do you think the future is going to look like for FLIR?
Well, I haven't been able to walk around the floor because I've been so busy with you guys. So many great meetings.
So anything else you want to add to the live audience?
Well, why do you like FLIR?
Ease of operation, so many lenses.
So many
lenses. No, I like the capability to drive that operational efficiency using the sensor capabilities that you guys have, right? So as we span and think about multi-departmental spend and making security more of a profit center as opposed to a cost profit center, this technology is right in the forefront. And I'm really excited about that. And I see the benefit using FLIR there. So,
Great.
so thanks a lot for
Couldn't
the
have said it better.
conversation. Yeah, thank you for the conversation, Jen. Thank you guys very much for listening, and have a great day.